Welcome to Legal Learning at Coast to Coast Legal Aid. My name is Courtney Magnus. I'm the supervising attorney for the Economic Advocacy and Community Health, or EACH unit here at CCLA. Today's legal learning is going to focus on Social Security disability overpayments. Okay, so first we just have a couple of quick disclaimers. This presentation is not intended to provide specific legal advice. It is just a general overview. The information is current as of today. This PowerPoint may not be reproduced, distributed, copied, or cited in whole or in part without CCLA's permission. And if you would like more information, you can visit our website. Okay, so what is a Social Security disability overpayment? Well, when the Social Security Administration believes that they have paid someone too much, they issue an overpayment to you. And you can get these both from SSDI and SSI. So basically, if they think, okay, we paid you this check and we shouldn't have, they're going to send you an overpayment notice and ask you to pay it back. So some common causes that we often see that result in overpayments is not reporting your work or income to Social Security, or oftentimes people have too many assets for the SSI program. And those are really the most common causes that we see, but there can be other reasons as well. So what happens when you get an overpayment? Well, Social Security is going to send you a notice in the mail telling you that you've been overpaid. It should include an explanation of the months you were overpaid and the reason you were overpaid and the amount. Once you get that notice, if you are still getting SSI, Social Security can start withholding up to 10% of your monthly SSI check each month until the overpayment is repaid. If you're getting SSDI, Social Security can actually take your entire check until the overpayment is repaid. And if you're no longer getting SSI or SSDI, they're going to ask you to repay that overpayment in full. And if you don't do anything about your overpayment, you don't repay it, eventually at some point, Social Security is going to send your overpayment to collections, and they're going to be able to garnish any wages or tax returns that you may have in the future. However, there are several options that you can take to try to address your overpayment. And I'm going to just kind of briefly go over each of those options. So the first option that you have is that you can file an appeal. And you want to do this option if you believe that Social Security is wrong. So you think you weren't overpaid, or that the amount Social Security is saying you were overpaid is wrong. Now, when you file an appeal, you have 60 days from the date of the overpayment notice to file your appeal. And you can file your appeal online on Social Security's website, or you can contact your local Social Security office over the phone for help with that appeal. The Social Security offices are currently still closed to the public, but they do expect to be reopening hopefully in the next several months. So once they're open again, you can also go into your local Social Security office and they can help you with your appeal. Another option that you have available to you is that you can ask Social Security to waive the overpayment so that you don't have to pay it back. So in this case, you were overpaid, but you think that you shouldn't have to pay it back for some reason. In order to have your waiver granted, you have to show two things. So you have to show both that the overpayment was not your fault and that you can't afford to pay it back. So usually the thing that people have a hard time with is proving that it wasn't your fault. Social Security does expect you to know their rules and their regulations, so that can be the hard part. But there is no deadline to request a waiver. You can submit it at any time. Something that you want to keep in mind is once you submit your waiver request, Social Security is supposed to stop collecting that overpayment from you until they've made an initial decision. And if your waiver is ultimately granted, any money that you've paid after you submitted the waiver, you would be able to get back. But anything you paid before you submitted the waiver, Social Security would get to keep. So you may want to consider submitting your waiver sooner rather than later, even though there is no deadline. To request a waiver, you have to submit a waiver form, which you can also find on SSA's website at the link I've provided here, or you can contact your local Social Security office and ask them to send you one. If your waiver is denied, you can appeal that decision. And again, you would have 60 days to file that appeal. So another option that you have is that you can set up a payment plan. So when you get that notice from Social Security, they're going to tell you that you need to repay your full overpayment amount by a certain date. But if you can't afford to do that, you can set up a smaller monthly payment plan. And we see that Social Security will usually accept smaller amounts of maybe $20 to $100 per month. The amount they'll accept kind of depends on the size of your overpayment. And you may need to provide proof of your expenses to show why you can't afford to pay more. But this is a good option for some people. And an important thing to note about Social Security overpayments is that Social Security doesn't charge you interest. So even if it takes you a long time to repay your full overpayment because you're only able to make small monthly payments, the good thing is that overpayment isn't going to keep growing and growing from interest. If you are getting SSDI or SSI and you can't afford the amount that Social Security wants to take for your check each month, so taking that entire SSDI check or 10% of the SSI check, you can also ask that Social Security takes a smaller amount. So you can say, you know, you want to take my entire SSDI check, but I can only afford for you to withhold $100 each month. And to set up this payment plan, either the full payment plan or to have a smaller amount taken out of your monthly check, you can contact your local Social Security office over the phone. And the last option that I'll mention briefly is that you can file for bankruptcy. This is something that you may want to consider, particularly if you have a larger overpayment, but I would recommend that you speak to an attorney specializing in bankruptcy to learn more about the process and see if that is really a good option for you. If you would like to see if CCLA may be able to help you or discuss your particular Social Security disability overpayment, you can contact us to apply for our services. You can either call the EACH unit at 954-736-2490, or you can apply online through our online intake on our website. Thank you so much for watching today's legal learning. Tune in next month for more legal learning.